Introduction to HBase. So we've seen HDFS, we've seen MapReduce, Pig, Hive, all on top of HDFS, and all of these things when used together have one thing in common, and that is high latency results. Batch processing. They're meant to work with the entire data set. And we've even seen examples of working with our weather data set, which is a few gigabytes, incredibly small in terms of big data, but it still takes a few minutes to data mine that information using these tools. So HBase really picks up where Hadoop and all these other tools left off, and that is low latency queries. Working with specific records. Say we wanted to pull out just one record out of our cluster. We couldn't do that with those tools because we'd have to read all of the data before plucking it out. So HBase is built for low latency queries, real time or close to real time access to a row or a range of rows inside of our Hadoop cluster. So in this nugget, we're going to learn all about HBase, and we're going to start with just a quick overview to talk about what HBase is. We'll get a formal technical definition. We'll talk about column store versus row store or record store data structures. And we'll compare HBase to the RDBMS world, and we'll also compare HBase to HDFS to get some different perspectives on what it's all about. Then we will look at the architecture. We'll get familiar with this master-slave architecture. You're going to see HBase is actually a lot like HDFS and Hadoop. We have a master node and we have slave nodes, and we have to set it up and configure it. And it's a lot like installing and configuring Hadoop. So we'll look at the architecture. We'll get familiar at a high level and a low level with all the components and pieces and terminology. And then we'll move into the virtual Nugget Lab and we will get it up and running. Much like Hadoop, you can install HBase in standalone mode, where it runs on the local file system, everything in one JVM. You can install it in pseudo-distributed mode, which is pretty much distributed mode, just running on a single machine. And then you can run in fully distributed mode, which is just like Hadoop, everything running on its own node under its own daemon. So in this nugget, I spun up a new machine called HNHB Master, Hadoop Nugget HBase Master. And we're going to use that for a pseudo